mask?
Yeah, we are on live right now, huh, Thomas? Thank you so much for being a guest. It's old friends from my right. Yeah, because why is old friend? Actually, just a quick introduction is basically I met with Thomas around 7 or 8 years ago, and then we work as recruitment projects is for a company called Error Systems. Everything is error, right? But then it's just interesting. Thomas is a really funny guy. You know, drink every day. A Red Bull, right? You can drink right out with Red Bull. And then also Thomas will be, we go through some of the series and have interviews, and then we always have some, I'm not saying jokes, but you label some of the candidates like Mr. Green or something. So it's quite happy working with Thomas. So yeah, this is why we build a relationship. But of course, in LinkedIn world, we haven't connected for a long time already. But now I'm doing more on the career coaching and all those things. So after 7 8 years, and then I asked Thomas, hey, can we work together to do something? Because Thomas is more on focus on training right now, and not only training about recruitment, but also some other stuff like leadership, and he can tell you more about the story. So is there anything you want to add, or is it
No, it's
true?
pretty good. I mean, we've stayed in contact on and off for the last 7 or 8 years, and there's always something interesting going on with your career, and we always share information as well. So yeah, so part of the reason that we struck up a good friendship is that we have a lot in common. We're both interested in helping people develop new skills, learn things quickly, and both of us have taken similar paths. We're both interested in the same core subjects of personal development. Uh, we both have done courses in hypnosis, and I'm a qualified hypnotherapist. Um, a little bit about my background. I've got about 30 years experience working internationally in Europe, United States, and here in Asia. And during that time, I've held different roles as manufacturing manager, purchasing manager, worked in executive search for 20 years. As I mentioned, I'm a qualified psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner. But really, what I really love to do is to help people gain a sustainable behavior change so that they're able to perform better and get better results. Sustainable behavior change means that whatever work that they do with me, they end up with being different than before, able to do something that they weren't able to do before we started working together. It's that simple in many ways. And whether it's through a more formal presentation skills training program or leadership or management, or whether it's one-on-one coaching, my aim is always the same, is to help people move forward, get better results.
Yeah. So now it seems like you moved to Hong Kong for around 7 years, right? Can you get the Hong Kong permanent residency?
Close enough. I have the yeah, I have in the final stages now, and I really like living
Okay.
in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is very,
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, I mean the same common thing is like I introduced Thomas for a dentist as well. You know, my background is basically working in Colgate before, and then now obviously in recruitment, right? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, just leave the comments below. Any question you want to ask me or Thomas, okay? So we'll answer you now, or maybe get back to you. So yeah, this is something. So anything you want to add, Thomas, about yourself, of anything we met?
Not really. I mean, the main thing that everybody's facing right now is rapid change. We know that the coronavirus has accelerated that change, but even before that, AI was changing people's lives faster than ever before, and that has impacted people's careers, their personal lives, and this is part of the reason why we wanted to hold our up and coming event next Tuesday on the 21st. So that's really at the core of it. I'd like to talk more about rapid change and how it affects people's careers.
Yeah. This is something that I would like to work together. It's not only this live, but also maybe we got 1 hour webinar for you guys. So we will tell you more. But today's topic is basically talking about have a successful career. So I understand that Thomas, you got your own recruitment firm, and in UK, so competitive, and then you sold it, or I don't know, I don't know if you're bankrupt or whatever, but I think you've been very successful, and then you moved to Asia. So what do you think about your career?
Uh, well, uh, I spent I well, kind of I have a long history. I grew up in Ireland, then I moved to London and worked in London for an energy management company. I have a degree in electronic engineering. Then I spent 5 years in London working for an energy management company. Then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, worked for a manufacturing company, spent 4 years there. Then I moved to Tokyo and started working in executive search, spent 4 years there. Then I moved to Los Angeles, worked for an executive search firm there. Then I moved to London, started my own executive search firm specializing in the investment banks and hedge funds. And then I moved to Hong Kong. Seems like I'm just going round in circles, you know?
Yeah. But now you're focused on training. So you are also Dell Carnegie trainer. So
So
why is that? Why is that?
you could split my work into two parts. One is as a corporate solutions trainer, working with companies, helping them improve their teams or individuals' presentation skills, or being better able to manage people more effectively, interpersonal skills and communication as well. That's kind of one side. I am a Dale Carnegie. I'm a senior Dale Carnegie trainer. I work for the Beijing franchise, even though I'm based here in Hong Kong. Dale Carnegie works on a franchise basis. Dale Carnegie's in 92 countries. We deliver programs in 22 different languages. And I am what I call um, I'm not a full-time employee. I am given work on the basis where they would need me. And then the other side is coaching, which I really love to do. That's coaching. I don't like to spit into life or business coaching. I just consider it to be coaching. You can kind of take a holistic view to it. And the main aim there is helping people achieve their own specific goals, whatever their goals are, whatever their meaningful goals are, whatever challenges that they have. They There's no doubt about it, but people definitely want to improve their lives. The problem is that the reality of actually making changes yourself, right? The uh, the unconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than the unconscious mind. So nearly 90% of everything that you do every day is under the control of your subconscious mind. So it's not like you're really making any decisions about what you're doing. All of that has been pre-programmed from a very early age, from the age from 0 to 7. That's when your core identity was formed. And so when people go to make a change, they're trying to use 10% of their conscious mind to try to change the 90% of what's at the unconscious level. So that's why people often find it difficult to actually achieve the changes that they want, and often end up repeating the same stuff over and over again. So to do that, you have to often, tackle some limiting beliefs, and you have to find a way to rewire your brain effectively. Most of our stuff is hardwired. So you need a process by which you can rewire your brain. And part of that is training and coaching, getting the person to have different beliefs about themselves, but more importantly, to be able to take different actions which help develop new skills. So let me give you a practical example. That all sounds very
Yeah, it's not something that hypnosis or something that I just get lost.
yeah. So for example, if somebody wanted to become a better public speaker, no amount of just telling the person what they have to do will work as well as getting the person to actually do it. Getting them standing up in front of an audience, coaching them for how to engage with the audience, how quickly they speak, when they should pause, all that kind of stuff. That's where you really start to make changes, and it has to be repetitive as well. You have to keep practicing something over and over again until it becomes sort of permanent. And so that's really the basis of it. That the practical side of acquiring a new skill means that you, first of all, you have to have the desire that you want a skill, that you believe that you can get the skill that you needed. Then you have to gain the knowledge, and that comes from either mentors or trainers or teachers or something like that. And then you have to start practicing that skill over and over again. And this is why you need a good mentor, teacher, trainer, coach, because if you don't practice it correctly, you end up not doing it correctly.
Okay. Okay.
That's a kind of a cycle of development that helps people move forward. So, yeah, that's
Yeah, understand that, but sometimes it's like it's not everything planned, or the career path is different. Sometimes when you go to something, some point.
yeah,
So right now it's like for example coronavirus or something. So I was just terminated, or I left a company. So how can I do that again, or
yeah,
what can I do to in order to have a
right,
successful career?
yeah. So there's nothing wrong with good plans, right? There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that life changes very, very quickly. I don't think it was Mike Tyson originally said it, but he said that a lot of people are planning that when they get into the ring, they're gonna hit me like this and hit me like that. But when you get hit in the face, all your plans go out the window. And right now, everybody's kind of been hit in the face with the way the virus has come along. So, one thing, it's great to have a plan, but that won't really help you in the long term. You need the flexibility to be able to adapt to change. And you need underlying skills. You need to have a degree of self confidence and belief in yourself that you can adapt to the change. And what, there's no doubt about it, but all of this leads to a certain amount of stress in your life. If you lose your job, you'll have financial stress. You'll have the so it could be even loss of face where you're now trying to find how to get a better job and all that. So one of the things that is key to long-term success and managing your career is also knowing how to manage the stress in your life, how to deal with difficult situations. And so career planning, great. But what's even more important is the ability to be able to develop skills that are relevant now, to keep learning new skills. If you don't, I remember about 2 years ago, I was working with a client in London, and this guy had a very, very successful business selling change management to companies like BBC, Sky Television. And during the last 12 months, his business had completely uh, uh, tanked. They weren't making any money. Him and his partner weren't making any money. And they were trying to decide whether they should just give up the business and go find individual jobs. So I started working with him. And the first sort of session I was asking him, I said, so since you've left university, what kind of additional training have you had? What other courses have you done? And he said, what? I said, any other courses? Have you taken any qualifications, certification, anything? He said, no. I said, what's your degree in? He said, anthropology. I said, anthropology? I said, you should take that back. That's the problem was that he hadn't, he was very good, but he got his degree, went to work, and just learned on the job. But he took no more courses, degrees, MBAs, or individual courses, nothing. And so now he was coming to the reality that the landscape had changed, the industry had changed, and that he had to compete with other companies selling the same thing. So he wasn't effective at selling. So I suggested a 2-day presentation skills training, which he did, which phenomenally changed his outlook. It raised his self-confidence. It made him realize where he was going wrong, and he got he got back on track. They decided to dissolve the business, but he ended up with a much higher paying job working for Sony. So my point is that you can't exist with the same skills that you got when you graduated from university. You have to keep developing new skills. And I'm not necessarily advocating going and taking a degree, another degree, or an MBA. I think there are better alternatives that adapt to the current environment. So that would be my take on it.
Okay, but I understand that someone they are not always like, okay, I want to be CEO, I want to be a successful entrepreneur or whatever. I founded my own business. I just want a stable job or I just want something. So they could plan, okay, but I mean, what's the definition for successful career? Or it should be like, okay, it's a better life. Okay, something is not really just what you mean, right? So what do you think? I mean, yeah.
So the old the old environment, even if you go back far enough, people had a job for life, right? They joined the same company. Well, that's long gone. We all know that, right? But now it's not even enough. If you think, well, look, I just want just a reasonably good job. I'm not ambitious. I don't want to go anywhere. You're already lost because the environment keeps changing, and whatever skills you have, they will no longer be valid in 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time. Hundreds of jobs will be wiped out by AI, all sorts of stuff that you probably couldn't even imagine. So you either are change, or what's the old saying, you adapt or die. So very, very bad idea if you just say, well, I just want a reasonable job and to earn a reasonable amount of money. That's not even standing still. That's going backwards. Right? The world, I'll tell you what. Here's an interesting way to look at it. I was at a seminar about 5 years ago in London, and one of the speakers was a woman from Goldman Sachs, and she made the point that we're still hiring people and we're finding it difficult to find people, but the emphasis is on people with technology skills. Goldman Sachs investment banking, but it wasn't just the same kind of people they'd been hiring before. The emphasis was now shifted to more savvy tech people instead, right? So, the investment banking, hundreds of jobs that used to exist keep getting wiped out by AI as well. So every industry will be affected more and more by AI. So whatever skills you have, you need to have more skills. You need different skills as well.
Okay, but I didn't study IT or I don't know anything. I'm just like, okay, I don't want to work for any technology or something. So how can I have a successful career?
Yeah. So that brings us up to the difference between the soft skills and hard skills, right? Hard skills we would classify as stuff like, if I was a carpenter, I can make a chair. That would be hard skills. If I'm in IT, I can put a network together. The soft skills everybody knows, which is essentially all about communication. So there's an interesting clip on YouTube where Warren Buffett is giving a talk at Columbia State University. And he is saying to the graduates there, I'm assuming everybody knows who Warren Buffett is, but if you don't, I think he's the third richest man in the world. He runs Berkshire Hathaway. He is constantly on with Bill Gates and himself, seem to do an awful lot of work together. Hey, Warren Buffett is what, 60 billion or something, right? I don't know, give or take.
I don't know. I don't know. I just used Microsoft Word for Bill Gates.
So Warren Buffett is, I wouldn't say he was the richest man in the world, but it's Jeff Bezos now, and then it's Bill Gates or something like that. Anyway, at this Columbia graduation, he said to the graduating students that he would give them 100,000 US dollars for 10% of their future earnings. So in other words, hand them over 100,000, and every year he would get 10% of whatever they earned. But he said, if you went out and took a communications course, if you improved your ability to be a better communicator, to be more influential, I would pay you another 50,000 today. In other words, I would give you 150,000 for that same 10% of your future earnings. And he said that he actually took a Dale Carnegie course, and he credits that with his success as well. So, to in a long-winded way to answer your question, Keith. So one of the skills that everybody will need going forward is their ability to be able to influence, communicate, persuade other people. In this going forward, that will be a critical skill for sure. So that's one skill that doesn't matter what the industry is, you're going to need to have that.
Yeah, yeah, of course, very important. Yeah. So, in terms of recruitment, you and I know that it's not only about the CV, the paper, but why we meet them is because we want to make sure the communications and also the technically he can do that job. So that
Right.
is understand that. But yeah, I mean, we obviously have this kind of experience and knowledge about this, so that's why we work together and wants to do more for the followers and for the connection. So that is we will have a webinar. So what are we going to tell people in that webinar?
So we thought about this. How can we give people a 1 hour where they would be able to learn something significant that would make a difference to their lives? Now, this is not a training. 1 hour of training is going to change your life. However, having said that, when you've got an insight into something and when it shifts your thinking, then you can make a big. Then it can make a big difference. So there's no doubt about it that you need to understand some core things to be successful. So we're going to cover stuff like the 2 core traits of all successful people and how to develop them and make use of them, both in terms of when you apply for a job, how you show the person that's interviewing you that you have these skills, how to keep developing them, so the second part then would be how to learn new skills quickly. There are good and bad methods for learning. For example, a lot of people may not know that if you learn something new, that within 24 hours, you'll forget 80% of it again. Right? So there are different ways of learning. There is what we would term as accelerated learning, and there are methodologies such as using a habits-based approach to learning as well. Uh, of course, you know, having these core traits and knowing how to learn uh, are only part of it. If you take a look at the most successful people, they don't get their jobs by applying online.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They get their jobs through networking. Applying for jobs online is like trying to win the lottery. Um, I'm not saying not to do it, but your chances of getting hired for the right job within the right time frame is quite a challenge, right? Because of the way AI works. I'm not saying that the whole system doesn't work. I'm just saying that it's not the best way. Put it this way: the best performers don't do it. They
Yeah.
get their job. They get their job through networking.
So headhunters. Yeah.
The headhunters are one part of it, but let me put it this way: all successful people know other successful people. Rich people know rich people. The best musicians, the best basketball players, soccer players, marketing gurus, etc. They know each other. They network through each other. So networking isn't just going to any old event and meeting anybody. So we'll talk about how to network effectively, what you have to do to actually build a long-term career through your network. It's a vital part of it. I mentioned earlier on that, you know, there's no doubt about it, but work can be very stressful. And be able to have, Keith, you're married,
Mhm.
you have a daughter, I've married, I've got a daughter. So we both also want to be able to have a family life as well. And yet it's a competitive world. So do I compete very hard and sort of neglect my family and my health and so on and that, or do I, well, I'll just do a reasonable job and I'll spend more time with my family, but then I get fired, right? So we're going to cover how to have a more balanced life, how to be productive, how to do well in work, and still end up being healthy, having good relationships at home. There is a way to balance those throughout. There's always a need at times to work very hard on certain things, but the old adage of you have to keep working harder and harder, that's no longer as relevant as it used to be. Now you have to think about how to work smarter and how to be more influential on the job. So cover that aspect as well. And then finally, it's the whole business about how do you keep adapting to change, right? What do you have to do? And a part of that would be what's your mindset towards it, right? What do you know, do you embrace change, or do you think, oh my God, it's terrible, I don't want to change? So we'll show you some really key things to do and mindsets to have towards change. So
It seems we cover a lot, right? We cover the whole personal life and business life.
yeah, well, to be honest with you, you can't just take you have to have a holistic approach to life these days, right? You have to. There's an old saying, jack of all trades, master of none, and it encouraged people to be a specialist. The thing is now that you certainly needed some degree of specialization, but you also need a wide-ranging knowledge on a whole um, number of different subjects, right? You have to be interested in your own health these days. You have to know how to stay healthy. You have to know how to manage stress and worry. You have to know how to build relationships. You have to be able to maximize the use of technology, whether that's social media, whatever it is. But you can't live in this world. This is a tech world, right? So more and more now, you have to have a kind of a wide-ranging interest and knowledge on a number of different topics, because everything is interconnected. Technology is connected to our health. Our health is connected to our relationships. Our relationships are connected to how well we do in business, and so on, right? So now, so this is you are right. We are going to take a bit of a holistic approach. It is only an hour and a half, and we'll be giving you key insights into each one of those areas and what you can do to follow up and make a difference on that. I'm excited about this. I love talking about this stuff, right? Because when people latch onto it and when they can see what they need to do, where they have to change, then it makes a big difference. And the world can and currently is often a very demanding, challenging, even frightening place with everything changing so quickly. Right now, people can't even make travel plans.
Yeah.
Well, if I go somewhere, will I be able to get back to where I'm from? Yeah. So more than ever before, we have to adapt quickly to our environment. Over the last sort of 9 months here in Hong Kong, Keith, you and I, we talked about this before about the changes we've had to make. First of all, we had the protests, which disrupted our lives,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
followed by the virus. So both of us, we've had to adapt and change and do more stuff online and learn more skills to do that. And, you know, uh, of course,
Yeah, that's the future. Yeah, I'm also trying to teach my daughters. Just 19 months, maybe she will be the next Facebook Live or something to earn money, so we can build a successful career.
yeah. So look, change can be intimidating, right? Um, so I often ask people if they like change, and people say, yeah, I like change. I say, oh, you're lying, right? Because if you want any significant change, it means you're going to have to put some work into it. If you want to be physically fit, I mean, you got to go to the gym because all that sweating and grinding. If you want a better relationship, you have to be a better listener. You have to do something about those relationships. It doesn't matter anything that you have a value. You've had to put some effort. You have to make some changes. So there's no doubt about it. But people go, "Oh my God, I have to change." Yes, you do. But believe it or not, once you start changing and you get into the idea of adapting change, then your life will be so much better. You'll be able to face challenges, whatever's thrown at you, coronavirus or protests or whatever. You go, hey, it's just another change. Now let me figure out how to do that. I'll keep my stress under control. Um,
Yeah,
and of course, you know, this can bring out the best in people as well. When things go bad, we all need people who can keep their head, can stay more positive, not being unrealistic, but they can actually focus on stuff and look for solutions. So that holistic approach, we're definitely going to dig deep into that. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so this, although this is a short 30 minutes LinkedIn Live, so we get together and then we're now talking about, oh, okay, we do have 1.5 hours more for you guys, which is have a successful career webinar. But yeah, it's covered a lot, so it seems great. But is it, uh, do I have to pay?
Not this one, but actually, you do have to pay. It is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you 1 hour of your time.
Wow, it's variable.
No, the reality is that there's nothing free in life. Your time is valuable. We respect that, and we've geared this up. We know that we can't train people as such, but we know that for that hour of your time, you're going to get some real value. You're going to get some insights into those core traits of success that you really need to know about how to learn more effectively, about how to embrace change, how to build a network successfully, and how to have a better balanced life. Those are core to your success. I keep thinking, I wish somebody would have told me this when I was
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
my career. Right? I made all those mistakes and so on, right? That, but if I was armed with that knowledge, I'd be a happier, healthier, and wealthier person. Might even have some hair.
Well, but actually, I have no doubt in your training because I actually attended the 1 day called Power Hiring Training delivered by Thomas. So it's actually talking about the successful traits and how recruiters need to find the people. But it also applies to job seekers because when the current job, the next job, and the future job will that be a progressive increment or change or something. So that is really good, and that the contents and everything prepared by Thomas will be excellent. So that's why I recommend we work together. And now this is the webinar. Yeah.
Yeah, just one thing on that whole thing about changing jobs and finding the right jobs. So there's no doubt about it. You must understand the two core traits of all successful in order to be able to find the right kind of jobs that are a match for you. You must be able to show any employer that you can adapt, that you know how to adapt to change, because their company will change too. So if you can prove that I'm the kind of person I can embrace change, I can work well with other people, if you can show them as well that you haven't finished your education, that you're still working, you still want to develop new skills, then that dramatically increases your chances of getting hired by the right people. Not only that, if you start a new job with that kind of mentality, you get off to a great start. Other people will have greater respect for you. They see you coming in enthusiastic, willing to put in the hard work, build relationships, build that network internally as well, right? And be open to doing it their way, adapting to their change, the changes in their organization. So for job seekers or people that want to change, this is really powerful stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I do have one more quick questions. I'm not sure whether you still have time, but what you normally, because I do have followers like fresh graduates, or they work already, they want to change career, or senior guy. So any difference between senior, junior, or people who want to change? Because that setting goals or you're having a successful career is not only for 20, 30 people, it's for everyone. So what's your view on that? I just want to know more. Yeah.
There is no real difference between whether you're starting out or whether you're mid-career or towards the end. All those things still apply. You still need to adapt and change and so on. If you're in your 40s or 50s, the worst mistake you can make is say, well, I've got all this experience, right? Kate, I will, I look on YouTube sometimes and I see presenters that are 21, 22, 18, 19 years old. And I think, oh my God, they're so fantastic, right? Wasn't age. They spend time learning their craft. They're great communicators. They present well. So age has nothing to do with it, right? These people adapted. They created careers for themselves online, delivering real value, and they're inspiring. So age has nothing to do with it, right? That's the least concern. Everybody needs to keep adapting to the change. Maybe at a different pace, right? And you might have different financial needs, but life is always more interesting if you're doing interesting stuff, right? Studies show that people who retire and do nothing, well, it just
Die.
I'm sorry. Right? Your brain's gonna just rust away, right? So you need to be actively engaged in all sorts of stuff to make life more interesting for yourself, right? Otherwise, you have dementia. You need to be engaged in challenging, interesting stuff. Do you need to work from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. at night or 12? No, you don't need to do that. But you need to always have active interest and engage in doing stuff, right? So doesn't matter what age, right? You need all this stuff. Everybody will be able to take away something and apply it to their lives in their own way. That's for sure.
Okay. Do you have any other advice or any other things to share? Yeah.
No, but just one thing. You and I have this saying that invest in yourself, you'll never go broke. So if you take a look at your career and you're not spending time or money or some sort of resources in educating yourself, improving yourself, it's hard to figure out how you're really going to be successful and happy, right? Forget about the financial side. Job satisfaction alone, being able to do something better, requires that you learn something new, develop some new skills, right? Whether it's on the job or at home, if you're learning, acquiring new skills, then you have a chance to really be successful. So invest in yourself. You will never go broke. You have to ask yourself, over the last 3-5 years, how much money did I spend on investing in myself, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want to invest in yourself? It's the best place to put your money. You're always going to get a good return on your money if you invest in yourself, right? So that's the thought I would leave. I would like to leave people with, is that ask yourself, am I investing in myself? And if not, maybe now is a good time to start. Come along and be with us on the 21st. We have at 10:30 a.m. and 10:30 p.m.
Yeah. So invest only what we need is 1 hour and 1 hour and a half from you, so that we can also have some Q&As. So it don't need to pay anything, okay? And you know what? I've been doing this like since 2019 December, and I also invest to study what is the online business and how can I have more LinkedIn posts or whatever. So everyone needs to invest themselves to learn something to keep up their skills. Otherwise, as you mentioned about the AI things, and you lose the jobs, or you will never know that something happens again, like coronavirus. Okay, so that
Yeah,
is why the reason you need to learn and make changes.
yeah.
And not only that, of course, is to set your goals and career change. Make sure what is successful careers, and you can learn a lot from me or from Thomas, okay, from the course. So you can always keep
So
in touch and send a question. Yeah, yeah.
so Keith, anybody that's delivering any training or giving any advice, it's always a good thing if they can prove that they've applied that same stuff in their own lives.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
so I've held position as an electronic engineer, energy management consultant, manufacturing manager, purchasing agent, trainer, psychotherapist, innovation consultant. And the only reason I was able to keep changing, and I'm still changing, um, you know, executive search into my current role is because I've applied those particular things, right? I've embraced change, and so I've been able to stay relevant. I've learned an awful lot over the last sort of year, especially over the last 9 months, having a bit more time to study stuff. So I can guarantee you that if you listen to what we have to say, you will always be relevant. You'll always have an interesting career. You'll always be influential around other people, and you hopefully, if you get that work-life balance, you'll live a lot longer and be a lot healthier as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot to share. So guys, the link is already in the post. So it's April 21st, next Tuesday exactly. So 10 p.m. 10:30 p.m. Hong Kong time, or 10:30 a.m. time. So it's two sections for you to choose from, and we are doing it live and free for you. So just invest the time, okay, so we can make a change.
Yeah.
Any other advice, any other things you would like to share as old friends? And thank you so much for coming and joining as guests. It's the first time for you, right? So what do you think?
Yeah, enjoyed it, of course, right? It's always interesting. Again, you know, as I said before, myself and Keith, we have a relationship going back a long time, and that's always because we're always adding some value to each other's lives. We're always using. If I find something interesting, I'll share it with Keith, and vice versa. So one of the things I'm going to leave you with, that if you want good relationships with people, add some value. A lot of people who last thing, but a thought occurred to me that a lot of people when they meet somebody and they go through this kind of networking process, the thought that they have in their mind is, how can you help me? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, the other person that they're meeting with is going, how can you help me? So they're both waiting for the other person to help them. Don't do that. Instead, when you meet somebody, wonder how I can help you. Wonder what value I can add. So that changed your mindset completely. So if you have that mindset and you're helping other people, you will get something in return.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone is giving, 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 and then don't hope for the people come back. But just like in LinkedIn message, right? As we are recruiters, always from people say, "This is my CV. Can you review it?" Or "I'm finding a job. So okay, please refer." So that kind of thing is actually not what you mentioned about helping others. So what values that you can give to people? You connect with them first, right? To see what happens next. It's not just every time it's talking about, okay, please give me a job, right? So this is I think you've been experienced so many times like this, right?
Yeah. So this is our attitude towards this whole hour. What can we do to help you? So we have a bunch of stuff. We don't think, we know it's of real value. Look forward to seeing people on the call.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Thomas. So yeah,
Thanks.
people, please register the link, and I'll see you again. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Okay, bye bye.